George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood offers a detailed account of the Targaryen history. A particularly chilling chapter of the book involves Queen Helaena and her children. However, when this narrative was translated to screen, the details were toned down significantly. One could argue it were these very details left out that added another layer of visceral horror to the narrative. Today we explore the differences between screen and page and examine why the book's version stands out as quite a bit more harrowing. If you like these videos, consider subscribing for more content and hit that like button. But for now, let us commence. The assassination of little Prince Jaehaerys surely is one of the most horrifying events in the larger world of A Song of Ice and Fire. After Aemond and Vhagar kill Lucerys, revenge is inevitable. Rhaenyra is devastated, and Daemon proclaims he will claim a son for a son. In both tellings, assassins are sent to the Red Keep for this purpose. The book describes in detail how the assassins, Blood and Cheese, infiltrate the Tower of the Hand using Cheese's knowledge of the Red Keep's secret passageways due to his profession of rat catcher. They enter Queen Alicent's quarters in the tower, where they find, bind and gag her, able to watch yet unable to act. After that, the pair lay in wait for Queen Helaena and her children to arrive, for Helaena would visit her mother's quarters every night before bed. Once the Queen arrives with her daughter and her two sons, Jaehaerys and Rhaenyra, Blood and Cheese quickly overpower Helaena and her children. "Who are you?" Helaena asks, to which Cheese answers, "Debt collectors." In a horrible show of sadism, they force the mother to choose which son she would rather see killed. When she offers them her own life, Blood tells her to choose a son, and quick, before Cheese grows bored and assaults her daughter. In a heart-wrenching decision, Helaena names her youngest Rhaenyra, perhaps thinking the boy too young to understand. But in the cruelest turn of fate, the assassins behead Jaehaerys instead, leaving the queen broken and screaming in anguish. Next, the killers turn to little Rhaenyra and say, "You hear that, little boy? Your mama wants you dead." The TV adaptation alters this narrative significantly. In the show, the assassins head directly to Helena's quarters, bypassing the capture of Alicent entirely. And for some reason, Helaena does not offer the killers her own life. Furthermore, the murder of Jaehaerys is done rather swiftly in comparison, lacking the psychological torment that made the act so much more horrible in the book. The killers do not force Helaena to make a choice, taking away the harrowing moral dilemma forced upon her in Fire and Blood. This change shifts the focus from a mother's unimaginable torment of actively taking part in her child's death to a more straightforward act of brutish violence. To be sure, the events in the show are still incredibly cruel, but they lack the psychological anguish of forcing such an impossible dilemma upon a mother with small children. Another thing that diverges between book and show is the family dynamic of Helaena and her children. In the show, Rhaenyra has not yet been introduced, and seeing how it was a son for a son, choosing between boys was never an option. Seeing Jaehaerys killed instead of the son she named highlights the boundless cruelty of the assassins and comments upon the ruthless nature of war as a whole. The narrative purpose of this bloody act of revenge serves to demonstrate an escalation of brutality in the conflict at large. It is a warning of how cycles of violence will often perpetuate themselves once initiated, and how such cycles are near impossible to break until both sides are decimated. The show, however, presents the event as a mere act of revenge, placing less emphasis on its sadistic nature and more on the political consequences of the killer's actions. What's certain is that the aftermath in both book and show shall leave a lasting impact on the world, and without getting into spoilers, events only spiral further out of control from here. Naturally, the psychological scars left on Helaena are profound, yet the TV adaptation opts for a more introverted reaction on Helena's part. It is a slight change to her character, though not altogether unbelievable, as everyone processes intense grief differently. As an artistic choice, one could argue that the show sacrifices some of the shock and depth that make the book's version so memorable. In conclusion, while still brutal, the show opts for a more straightforward approach. Perhaps this was done to fit the constraints of screen time and the disposition of the viewer, though in the past, such things have never stopped Game of Thrones from moving the needle in terms of showing the raw ugliness of the world it presents. While the portrayal of events in the show was somewhat less powerful, whether it diminishes the events that follow is yet to be seen. Thank you for watching, friends. For more videos like this, like and subscribe, and may you all fare well.